gentlemen, welcome back. This is Zed Daily, episode 7. Today I've got my boy East Coast, or I've got Joe from East Coast Stables. How you doing, sir?
What's going on? How's everybody doing today? How you doing? All right?
I'm pretty well, man. I'm pretty well. We got a sunny day here in Washington, so no complaints.
I was gonna say you're West Coast, right? So this is like East Coast and West Coast today on the pod. So I
Oh,
love it. That's awesome.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, Joe, I wanted to start it off by asking you, how did you find Zed Run?
So I actually started getting into Zed Run right after Top Shot. There was a couple people I started following on Twitter, and they started tweeting about horses, racing horses, and I'm a big, sports guy, so I go to the local track by me over here, which is only about 20 minutes. So I'm actually big into horse racing as well, and I said, you know what? I'm already starting to dig into NFTs. Might as well buy a virtual horse that I could race, and lo and behold, that's how I kind of got introduced to the game and started buying up, which is funny that not that you say that, but the whole Top Shot thing, how it's resurrecting right now. But the trade that I made for my first Genesis horse, the Top Shot moment I traded is probably worth like $2 now, but at the time was worth like a few hundred. So I think I did awfully well on that trade. Genesis for Lamar Aldridge Spurs moment. So I probably made out on the right end.
So, what was like? Did you view your first horse as entertainment or investment at that point?
Oh, it was pure entertainment. I actually had less than like $200 invested in terms of money into the game at the time. And I was just racing the $2 races and a couple of the free races, which I really wasn't winning, but I was kind of throwing money away at that point just to watch the races. And I had a couple third places for my first horse. It's funny, I don't remember the name of it, but if I look back far enough, I'll find it. But I had a couple third places, which was exciting. And I had a good time just watching it instead of worrying about money and breeding and all that stuff. I was just kind of enjoying the game, which is really now what I'm trying to get back to doing, is enjoying the game.
So, what made you stay, and what was the story of that first horse to the second horse?
So the second horse I bought was actually also another Genesis horse. I think I bought it just for the name at the time. Again, I'm not even. I've gone through so many horses in the last few months that I've been, into Zed Run. I started back in April. But it was another Genesis horse. I think I like the name. It was one of the Suave coats. So it was kind of intriguing to look at on the track. I kind of liked that purple color. So that was another pure, wasn't a stats, wasn't winning, was cheap. I jumped into it at the time, but that was my first actual purchase through OpenSea using Ethereum. So that kind of bridged the gap for me getting into OpenSea and into NFTs overall.
Has your perspective ever changed from entertainment to investment with Zed Run?
Oh, 100%, 100%. Probably within the first few days. I wouldn't even say within the first few days of my first horse, first few days of my second horse. After I started just kind of blowing through money racing the $2 and the $5 races, I was like, all right, there's got to be a way to make money here. So I actually traded those two horses off for a better Genesis horse that was a little bit of a racer, and he would win. I think he had like a 8%, 9% win rate, and that made the game a little bit more exciting for me, a little bit more watchable. Um, but also that made me focus more on making my money back instead of me just depositing a couple $100 every few days or every couple weeks, and having to go back and repeat the process and losing a couple hundred every month.
So, how big would you say your Genesis holding is at the moment?
So I actually just recently started buying Genesis horses again. I have a Z7. I bought a bunch of unraced Genesis horses. There's a few unraced monsters that have come out from the past tournament that have kind of enticed me to go back into the market and look at these cheap unraced Genesis horses and start buying them up. So I picked up a few. Unfortunately, none of them have panned out. A few of them have been good breeders, so I've held on to them. A couple I've already taken a loss on, a few $100, which always hurts a little bit when you hit the sell button on OpenSea. But I've reinvested that money back into other Genesis horses, other unraced horses. I'm in the market right now. Right before I hopped on, I think I'm probably going to purchase a Z3 Legendary, unraced. So I'm still actively buying. I know I jump in chat and I like to talk a lot of smack and say Zed's doing this wrong, Zed's doing that wrong, but I'm still feeding them my money and probably won't stop anytime soon.
Okay. Glow Master just said how long until he says something about Bon Voyage. Do you want to go into that horse Bon Voyage?
Huh, that's funny. Yeah, we could go into Bon Voyage. That was probably one of my favorite purchases, just because it took me so long to find the owner. And I believe it's either MCM Racing or Stoneview Stables. I always flip flopped the two. Both have helped me out tremendously, but I was actually looking for the owner just because I wanted to negotiate over like $80 for that horse. And eventually, I found him, and we came to an agreement on the purchase. So that horse, and another one of my favorites was Miss Andretti, which hasn't hit the tracks nearly as much. But when that horse first came to limelight, she was a low odds runner, and she was pulling some pretty monstrous numbers at long distance against some pretty good horses. So I was able to flip her for a profit. And that's the money that I used to buy my fiance's engagement ring. People always ask me, did you sell a horse for her engagement ring? And that was the one. So, but yeah, that was Bon Voyage is probably one of my favorite purchases. I still obviously own the horse. I talk about her. I have merchandise made after her. She's on the market right now, so if anybody's interested in her, I have her posted for, I want to say, an outrageous number. But compared to what the market is, it's obviously down a little bit. So she's up for like 3.25 ETH in case somebody's feeling generous and wants to pay for my wedding. I will probably cry on stream if I get a sold notification. So if anybody wants to watch me cry live, that would be the way.
That's a hell of a story, bro. You go to your wedding, everybody's asking, "Hey, where'd you buy that ring?" or "How'd you pay for this?" Like, bro, digital horses, dog.
Digital horse racing, man. I'll tell you what. Whoever buys it will get a seat at my wedding. I've already joked around with Hunter from Archibald Stables. He's got a seat at my wedding, so that's exciting. Hopefully, like he'll gift me like a Z1 knack or like something nice in my wedding gift. Like at that point, maybe hopefully in 2 years when I get married, like we'll be able to scan a QR code and all of a sudden the horse is yours or like something crazy. But who knows what will happen. At that point, we may not see classes, the new class update for 2 years. So we'll see what happens with that.
So going into the class update, how do you feel about the current class system, and what do you personally want to see changed?
So right now it's tough to say because everybody's saying ELO, ELO. I do agree. I just think there needs to be more classes. I think you need to be able to diversify these horses that haven't win or have under a certain win percentage. I think they should have their own class designated to them. And once you're over that win percentage, I think you should be able to advance to the next class. But a lot of people have thrown out different ideas. I think you can't just add more classes. I think there has to be a next step to it as well. But my personal opinion is if you break it up by win percentage, you guys many of you in the chat may have seen the tweet that was out there. I think that was an awesome suggestion. Blanking out on the stable name, and I apologize. But he had it broken down into 7 or 8 different classes, and he had them named accordingly based off of win percentage and based off of profit as well once you got to a certain class level.
Okay, so you would base it off of win percentage and what else?
Win percentage, and once you get up to a certain win percentage, I think you should be able to also qualify for the next class based off of like profit, either lifetime profit or just profit in general for the horse.
Gotcha. So you're not getting like these fourth placers or third place horses that are going to go up and class up and get stuck. You're really just reserving it for the horses that'll win.
Correct. Yeah, correct. Essentially the winners. I mean, second and third place is nice to win a little bit of money, win your money back, but ultimately the class points, unless they come up with a way, you're going to have U-shaped horses that are out there, natural U-shaped horses that are going to go up and down. So unless you pinpoint them into a certain win percentage, again, I always throw Bon Voyage's name out there. Thank you, Golden Globe, but she's the natural you. She's a 15% winner. I mean, she has a ton of losses in her lifetime. But if you go based off of points, I could probably declass her pretty easily and get her to a much lower class and have her still at a 15, 16, 17% winner and just eat up, most of the competition. So I think you have to base it off of, the two factors of profit, or lifetime profit, as well as the win percentage personally.
Yeah, I like that because, yeah, you're not going to have these place horses that are just going to go up to class 1 and die. It's going to be actual like horses that are competing and winning for first.
Correct. Yeah, correct. And I think once you get rid of essentially, there is going to be no gate preference, but once you get rid of having select the gate in the beginning, I think it's going to be easier to get into the races, number one. But also, I think the diversification of the class distances is one of the other major issues right now. I actually think that's probably I'm reading Zook's comment in the chat. I think that's actually probably a bigger issue in itself than the actual race structure. I think the distances right now, the selection when it loads up is horrible. But again, there are certain distances where if you love 1600, 1800, you're feasting on all these ones loading up right now. And if you love 2600 or 1000, you're probably ready to sell your horse because you're not able to run it.
How would you fix the distance, like the scheduling in the class system?
Pretty much, I think you should just be able to randomly, honestly, without seeing anybody else in the race, just pick a distance and let Zed shoot you into the next available race. Have it queued behind the scenes, and then when it's ready to load up, you see all the horses that are in that race. Maybe you have Princess of Power in there at 2400. Maybe you don't. I mean, maybe you have some, another long distance monster, but it doesn't allow you to do at least pick and choose, but at the same time you'll have different entries into each one. All right, so I want a $25 1,000 meter. Okay, and then when that fills up, guess what? That shoots off. So, but there's a bunch of different ways they can go about it. The way that I think they should do it is probably a little bit too in depth. They could definitely simplify it, but getting rid of gate preference, number one, and just being able to select any open or any available preferred distance would be best.
Okay, so you were kind of saying like an autopilot, like, okay, this horse I know races at 1,000 meters. I know it's good at $10, so just race it at like $10 1,000 meter, and I don't even have to come in and sit at my computer all day. It's gonna do it by itself.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Correct.
So you had a
and maybe you should be able to track like, okay, now there's 7 out of 12 filled for that race, but you don't know who's in that race. You just know how many are queued up.
Gotcha. So
and again, that may be too in depth, that may be too thought up, but honestly, I think if you go to it, like, in queue, racing queue, okay, you have this horse, $10 1,000 meter, 7 out of 12 filled. You have a $5 2,400. You have 3 out of 3 out of 12 filled, whatever it is. So
it's just not going to tell you who's in there. So it's a
correct.
Like, yeah, pick your poison. So you had a race fill. You won the race, and then Zed canceled the race, and you didn't get your payout initially.
Yeah, so I won't bash them too much because they made right on their wrongs. Thank you, shout out to Rob. But pretty much what happened was they had the issue with the paid Griffins, which they acknowledged, and they got positive feedback on. So I don't understand why they took it away in the first place. But again, they acknowledged the issue. They had them run all day. I registered for one right before I went to bed, and it was 10 out of 12 filled when I registered. So there was only 2 more spots to fill. Within another 2 or 3 minutes after joining, the race filled and then was queued up. So I actually was asleep at that time. Hunter from Archibald Stables, I showed in the screenshots, was texting me updates during the race, and eventually he told me that I won. So I woke up in the middle of the night to an I won text, which I thought was great, awesome, only to find out that there wasn't any winnings in my account. There was a $40 refund from the race. So after explanation, they told me it was a bug, and the race was deleted after it was ran for whatever reason, and they paid out the first, second, and third place winners. So again, I don't know if they purposely deleted it. I don't know if it was actually a bug. I just wanted to create awareness. It was never about money. I donated 2 horses that were worth over $1,000 on my stream, that day when it happened. So it was never about the $200 for me being paid out. It was just about the concept of a race being deleted after it was ran, and getting down to whatever the issue was.
Right, and you want them to take ownership of it, right? Like, hey, if we have a problem and something happens, like, you guys should take ownership. It's not because I want the money; it's because I want like both parties to recognize that there was a mistake here. But they should also see your point. And if you won that race, you can't just wipe it and not give you your winnings back. Like, so
sure, and that's again, yeah, that it was just to bring awareness. I mean, anybody, whether I won or lost, whether I came in third, and I was looking for my $50 payout, I would have brought awareness the same energy to that I did if I won first like I did, because it was the fact that a race was deleted. I just wanted the team to acknowledge it, and whether it was deleted on their end and they apologized about it, or they said it was a bug like they did say, I just wanted them to know, hey, this was an issue and I wanted it to be rectified, and in case it happened again, where to look. Hey, this is what happened, so let's check there.
how long did it take, and how was their customer service throughout that process?
Um, so no, it only took a few days. So customer service, I spoke to one of the community managers initially in chat, and pretty much he told me that the race was refunded and deleted after it was ran, which is when I then escalated it to Twitter. And then another community manager reached out and was like, "Dude, why would you do that? I thought we were cool. Like, why are you calling out?" I'm like, "Dude, your boy, your other community manager, just told me you guys deleted it on me. What do you mean I'm not gonna post about it and raise awareness?" So eventually it worked its way up, and Rob reached out personally. I didn't have to reach out to Rob, but Rob reached out personally and just said, "Hey, Joe, just want you to know that I'm looking into this personally. I will let you know how things go." And then it was kind of radio silence after that. I didn't hear anything for a couple days. I mean, I tweeted at Zed. We had the great charity on Pony Plug, so we were joking about it then. And then I eventually reached out to Rob the next day, and he was like, "Oh yeah, it just went through now." At that second, as soon as I messaged him, okay, I guess. And again, it wasn't about the money. It wasn't about him paying me. It was about, I just want you to know that this is going on. And then he explained after that there was a bug, and it wasn't anybody on their team who deleted it. So whether or not that's true, I'm not going to question it. I just, again, wanted them to know that was going on, and it wasn't right. Again, whether it was you, it happened to you, it happened to anybody in the community, I hope that they would fight exactly how I fought and put the same energy, because it's just not right to have certain results and then not to be rewarded for those results.
Right, and especially if you're a guy that doesn't have like as big of a following or a voice that you do in the community, like someone that's newer or has a smaller following might not get that voice heard.
Sure. And there's definitely a vendetta against me. I know that. There's team members who personally don't retweet my tweets and don't promote my stream and don't reach out when I reach out to them. So, and I'm okay with it. Listen, there are some Zed staff members that I know don't like me, and the feeling's somewhat mutual. But it just goes back to just the way I've been talked to and the respect level I've been given. I felt like I've been treating every Zed staff member with respect, new or old, for any time I've ever talked to them, anytime I've ever met them. And some of them have snapped at me. I don't know if it's just because of me joking with them, or I caught them at a bad time, whatever it may be. But listen, if that's how it is, then that's how it is. And I'm not going to name any names. They know who they are, and they definitely don't listen to anything that I'm on or I partake in. But again, I feel like a lot of the community does like me. I like to call myself most hated, which is fine. And there are community members who do hate me. But listen, I'm the pink slip master, so people don't like that. People don't like the fact that I take horses from them. So I can understand why people hate me, which is okay.
So how about stable duels?
Listen, I knew that was gonna come up. There's no excuse for stable duels. Okay, there's absolutely no excuse. But let me
Uh,
tell you something. Everybody's pointing the fingers at me. Do we not realize that Tyler was on that stream as well? That the Know Your Horse guys were on that stream and they got Molly Whoops 5-0 as well? Like everybody's making profile pictures of me and giving me trophies and awards. The KYH guys didn't get no 0-5 award. It was only me, which is okay. Again, I don't think I have a bad stable. My stable is a bunch of U-shaped horses that don't compete in Class 1, which is all right. Lucky Jack has a fantastic stable. My stable cannot compete with Lucky Jack in Class 1. Outside of Class 1, do I have a little bit better of a shot? Possibly. But again, his best horses run that class. So maybe one day, if they come up with a competition where it's certain classes only, or Class 3 to Class 5, or Class 2 and 3, maybe I have a better shot, which I definitely do because that's where all my runners sit is Class 2, Class 3. But listen, I lost. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being a loser. But just remember that the KYH boys, Tyler and Ryan, lost 0-5 as well.
yeah.
I know they're in chat too. I see Tyler talking in there.
Zook said Tyler didn't know his horses.
Yeah, and that's crap because they run a whole website called Know Your Horses. How do you not know your own stable? That's a bunch of shit. I don't know if we could curse on this.
You're free, bro. Do whatever you want. Do whatever you want.
Listen. That's a bunch of horseshit. They run a website called Know Your Horses. They have a merchandise called Know Your Horses. You're telling me that one of the guys that created the site doesn't know his own stable? Even if he's the analytics guy behind the scene. You're telling me that he couldn't prepare, or at least he doesn't have any little insight about his horses? That's crap. That's crap. That's a bunch of excuses from the boys over there. Literally never touched that stable until that night. Swear to God. That's a bunch of crap. You still know those horses.
It's hard to do that shit with the U shape though, right? I mean, like, you have a chance at winning, but you also know you have that 50-50 shot of just getting last.
When you're in class, and like that's the thing. If I put Bon Voyage in Class 2, which she's about a 12% winner in Class 2. Give me 1 second.
You're good. You're good.
My dog's just gonna go crazy for a second. So, if Bon Voyage goes into Class 2, right? I know that she has a slight chance of winning, but if she doesn't win, she's not coming in 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, or really 9th. She's coming in 10th, 11th, or 12th. So I know she's on the bottom end of that U. She's either getting lucky on the roll of the dice, and she does take a first or maybe possibly a second. But if not, she's definitely on the bottom end. It's the same thing in Class 1. I don't really run her in Class 1. Has she been in Class 1? I think maybe once or twice before. She's pulled Flames one time. But that Flames, I think she finished in like 9th or 10th in that specific race. So I know in Class 3, even sometimes she's a 16% winner, 17% winner. And on a lot of the times, if that competition is stacked, if it's a loaded up race, she's on the down button a lot of times. She's a fantastic $2, $5 runner. A lot of her profit comes from $2, $5 races. She's even won a handful of $9, $10 races. But anything above that, if I try to raise her, even in Class 5, when I had her in Class 5, if I tried to raise her $15, I was finishing 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th more often than I was anticipating, just because number one, Class 5 was stacked, but she was just on the bottom end of her U a lot when the competition's a lot more loaded. So I'm not saying she faces the soft competition. I do cherry pick her, but she can compete against a lot of good horses. She can flame against a lot of good horses, but a lot of the times when she pulls flames, even so, she's still at that bottom end.
Okay. So, are you doing pink slips on your own stream?
I haven't yet. Lucky Jack's too scared to come onto my screen and challenge me for pink slips one day. I know I would jump onto Pony Plug and challenge him 1, 2, 3, but I don't know if he's still sleeping around the time I stream. I don't know if he's scared to join in. It could be one of the two. But I specifically don't run pinks. I like for my stream the content that I do, and I stray away from it a lot. I get it, but the content I like to do is I like to bring people on, newer people most of the time. I know I've had Hunter and Dan Chan on a lot recently, but I do like to bring the newer stables on just to introduce themselves to a lot of the community, because I do get 40 views, I do get 50 views every stream, and sometimes you have some of these big guys, Zook, High Horse Stables, you have the Know Your Horse guys who pop in. and it's nice for them to kind of get a face to maybe this unknown stable that they may see on the track a few times. So I like bringing in those kind of members on. I leave it open to questions. We do giveaways sometimes, but I'm not, and a lot of people know I don't breed a lot in stable. I don't have a lot of horses to breed in stable. Recently, I've 3 times how many horses I've had. I've gone from 6 to 17 in the past week and a half, 2 weeks, I should say. So now I'm doing a little bit more in-house breeding. I've bought a little bit more of the breeding Genesis horses so I can kind of mix and match combos. But before that, like when I race Lucky Jack for Pinks, I buy his horses that he breeds and I race them. And I beat him with his own horses. Just because he has hundreds of horses that he can breed. Hundreds of horses. So he can, like on a stream like that, they can give away and they can do a little bit more. Yes, there's 4 guys, 3 guys, there's a lot that they contribute. They raise a lot of money. They do a fantastic job. But they can do a lot more in giveaways on their stream. So they bring in a little bit bigger of an audience. They're a little bit more known. Whereas me, yeah, I give away a horse. I talk a lot of smack on my streams. I bring in some big names here and there. But I'm not going to bring in a ton of newer guys because those are the people who come in for betting. Like, I don't do betting on my stream. They come in for the giveaways. I just don't do a lot of that stuff because I'm not a bigger stable. I don't have a ton of income. I don't have a ton of money. I can't breed a lot in-house to give away those horses. But when I do have horses to give away, I definitely offer them up. There's no doubt in my mind.
How do you feel about the current breeding system and the in-house breeding system? Because if anybody that is new that's watching this, like, you're not saving as much money when you breed in-house with one wallet. You'll save more money by doing it 2 different wallets and putting your horse in for a week. So how do you feel about the current system, and what changes would you make?
The issue that I have, and the breeding minimums I can understand for like NAC Genesis, Zala Genesis. I understand you want to hold their value in a certain way. I think that there should be free market. I've always said that there should be free market. The issue that we have now is it's too expensive to test different breeding theories. Nobody's paying $170 to breed with a Buterin Genesis right now to test a theory with another one of their horses. Because if it's glue, they're really not trying to hold on to it for 30 days to breed that out and continue that chain, because then again it's going to cost them $100+ to breed that horse, which at that point is a Z20 or Z30, whatever it is. But once that horse is glue, even if you try to sell it, I mean, what is that horse bringing in 0.015? You're bringing in $40-50. So you're taking a very very big loss. Now even after the fees, you're still losing $50-60 every single time. So I personally believe that if you have a great racing horse, or if you have a great breeding horse, you should be able to price it at whatever you want. If you want to price it at $100, if you want to price your Zabo at $100 because you need quick racing money, you should be able to do that. It shouldn't be hard to fill up that breed because the market's flooded with all the same price Z3s right now, in the breeding barn. I think that if you want to post yours for less, you should be able to. Now, again, all the breeding minimums kind of got thrown into the conversation when Zed had the issue when they opened up the stud farm and everybody was getting banged 100 times. So I think that's when the breeding minimums really kind of started, because the minimums they were wonky then. They weren't set properly, whatever it was. But I think now if you go back to an open market, especially with the way the secondary market is, that's the way that you get horses and stables to start breeding again, is if you cheapen the price of breeding. I mean, if it only is going to cost $30-40 to breed a horse, now I get it. Now the market's going to get flooded with a bunch more of these donkey horses. Sooner or later, Zed's going to introduce, I feel like, some sort of burn mechanism, whether it's linked to a token or linked to money or whatever. They're going to introduce this burn mechanism where, guess what? Now all these horses that flood the market, they're not going to be posted. They're going to start being bred. And I mean, listen, I smoked a fat bowl right before I came on stream. I'm just thinking right off the dome right now. What if you could burn a horse for entries into future competitions? Like, what if you had to burn 3 to 5 horses into future competitions, or to qualify for future competitions? Maybe you don't get a golden ticket right away. Maybe it's to qualify. Now people are going to be burning their $50-60 horses because guess what? Now it's $100-150 entry or chance to qualify for these races. So there's a lot of things that they can do. And unfortunately, I don't know if they're gonna do them, but they have the minds in the community to help build and help grow. They're not listening fully. They listen, but they don't listen 100%. They don't listen really to the streams. They don't really play back the streams. They don't listen to the podcast. They're more focused on the Discord and helping the beginners and making sure people don't get scammed in there than ideas right now. So listen, I think there's a bunch of things that they can do, but that's my thought process, and I think personally that's a great idea.
Yeah, I like your burn.
Are you going to burn a two? And I was gonna say, are you going to burn a 2K horse? Obviously not. Why would you burn? But here's the thing: is what $2,000 horse are you burning?
I mean, what are you gonna
Like,
get for
what
it?
kind of,
Is my question.
you should get the same exact thing no matter what horse you burn. That's the thing is you shouldn't, whether you link it to a dollar amount or a des token. I think when you burn a horse, it's gone. I think you should get the same value regardless. Now, obviously, if you accidentally burn something, that sucks. There's no way to get it back. But what $2,000 horse are you burning? Are you burning a Glue Z2? No. Are you burning a Glue Z5? Probably not. You're probably using that for breeding theories. I mean, at that low Z. Or at that point, why aren't you waiting till the market turns around? Why are you trying to burn a $2,000 horse? Why aren't you waiting till the market comes back up or Zed, fixes the class structure? And maybe that $2,000 horse is a $4,000 horse, or maybe you can sell it at that point for $2,000 instead of burning it. So there's a lot of ideas. There's a lot of ideas.
What I would
Step
do.
one, absolutely, you have to change money to breeding base. That is true.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was reading the chat.
You're good. Yeah,
That is true, Hunter.
I would change it off
but
of
it should be
ETH.
based off a minimum. But it should be based off a minimum.
Yeah.
Based off a minimum.
I like what you
Set it
said.
to a US dollar.
You said the free market. That, I mean, if we really own these assets, if we truly own them, there should be no set price to we have to set it at this. No, I own this. I want to breed it for this. I should be able to breed it with this. But now going into burn system, personally, what I want to see is I want to see a burn system reward horses. Like if you want to burn that horse, let's say the sniper, he had a Z4, right? Let's say you get more Des token for like a Nakamoto bloodline than you would a Finney bloodline. So let's say you have a Z2. You don't like it. You've raced it. You breeded it. You've bred it. All that shit. Don't like it. And you want to burn it for Des token. So let's say that bloodline and that genotype is going to get more Des token in the burn system than like a Z15. You know what I'm saying? Just because the genotype and the bloodline of that horse.
Yeah, I just think I think Des is like so far out though. I know they're saying, oh, we have Des in mind. I think Des is so far out that the burning function, the burn has to come before Des right now. Unless they have a whole team working behind the scenes that we don't know about, that they've kept secret, that's 90% or 75% complete with Des, and they feel like they can roll it out somehow before the end of the year. But Jay said it best on Twitter. It's easy to make a token, but it's hard to make a token functionable. That's what Zed is trying to get through right now. They can make a Des token 1, 2, 3, where people can buy, exchange it, do all that crap, and then it's whatever. It's a token. Just like ENS right now is just a token. It's going to have future utility, but all it is just a token. So Zed could easily just introduce it and have people change and exchange. But is a token going to be worth nothing? Is it going to be worth a ton? Are people going to yell at Zed, hey, what's the utility for this? So they're trying to do everything together at the same time. Hey, here's the utility behind the token. Hey, here's what we're doing. And rolling it out. Not just rolling out the token with no utility, and just a roadmap. They're trying to have the first step of the roadmap complete, which is a utilized token, a token that can be utilized. So that's why it's taking longer, and I think that's why people are frustrated, is because it's taking longer. But Zed's trying to do it the right way. Zed's trying to do it the proper way. I think it's just frustrating, that it's been talked about for so long, and it keeps being pushed back. But again, they have more stuff to prioritize right now.
Right, because we have a game right now. Like let's say D-Race doesn't have a game but has a token. Riot Racers right now has a token, doesn't have a game at the moment. So being in Zed Run and seeing every other like blockchain game have a token but no game, and seeing how well their tokens do, we know we're like, oh, the Des token's gonna go to the moon, and we know that the utility is gonna be amazing. It's just that we have the game but no token, and everybody else has token but no game.
Yeah, and the number one, and here's the thing. I know everybody talks about D-Race. I think I want to say Zed's toughest competition, but the next closest game is Chicken Derby. I think people have kind of swept that under the rug, just because people have seen a lot of deracers drop their horses recently, which we know that drop was a disaster. Derace is talked about more because Derace has a token already, and it's obviously horse racing versus chicken racing. But I believe the Chicken Derby team is a lot farther along in the process of their game than anybody else that's out there. I mean, Riot Racers, I actually am not too much into Riot Racers, so I'm not too close into that. But as far as I know, I think the Chicken Derby team is pretty close to launching like a beta version. And I know a lot of the Zed Run community is actually intrigued by that. I don't think it's competition to Zed though. I think it's much different. They seem to have a funky like special ability with these chickens going on and this and that. I don't exactly know what's going on with it, but again, you're comparing chicken races to horse races, so they're not really the same. D race is definitely more of a horse racing competition, but D race is also. Am I open to trying it? Sure, but they don't have all their eggs in the right basket right now. They're a complete disaster over there as well. They're a bigger disaster than Zed. Just people are blind to it. So
Right.
let
Exactly.
them talk.
Because Zed has a game and they've already fucked up. They've fucked up with their drops. They've made a bunch of fuck ups. So if you look at it, it's like they got a bunch of stains on their white shirt. But if you go to like D Race and Chicken Derby, they haven't had a chance to stain up their white shirt yet. So everybody's like, oh, they got a nice clean white shirt. Let's go try out these projects. But the game's not
Sure.
out yet. And they haven't fucked up because I guarantee you all these games are going to run into the same problems that Zed did.
And I think that, if I'm not mistaken, I didn't participate in them, but I'm pretty sure the chicken race drops went pretty well. Like the chicken derby drops went awfully well, if I'm not mistaken. Like weren't too many issues. I think it was on the Polygon network as well, so people were able to use like their weave balance for chicken race. So yeah, we all know D-Race is trash hunter. We know how you feel about them.
Oh, the
But
graphics
listen,
on those.
if they came out with a game right now, I'm sure 80% of Zed would not move over there, but would dip a little bit of their funds into that market and attempt, the game. Listen, I would. I'm not going to deny it. Just because I know Zed doesn't have everything down to a T right now. Am I still having fun on Zed? Sure. Does Zed still have its issues? Of course. I think we all can agree on that.
Yeah, man. What do you want to see with this next tournament?
So I've been pushing for one specific thing, and a lot of people haven't liked it, but we need a non-Genesis tournament. Whether it's raced or unraced, I think it would be pretty cool. If Zed really wanted to mess with the community and to mess with Dan Shan specifically, an unraced non-Genesis tournament, because then you have all these people out there with the blood tool. All these people, how many of them are going to qualify? How many of them are going to have fantastic horses? How many of them are going to make it, to the end? I think if Zed was listening, I think that would be the best idea. I think that would be the funnest idea because, number one, create a ton of community engagement. Everybody would be trash talking each other all over the place. On Discord, on Twitter, on streams. There would be no end to it, okay? Number two, it's going to stimulate the market. Because guess what? People are going to start buying unraced horses, non-Genesis unraced horses. So that will eliminate, I wouldn't say eliminate, but that will help with two issues right now is getting the community happy. And what was number two? I actually forgot.
Getting the community happy.
Hold on.
The market's going to move. Secondary market.
The market, there you go. I was going to say the market. Yeah, the market. I forgot where I was going. Because I was going to say is number three, Zed should introduce some sort of trophy at the end so Dan Shan can stop crying and he'll actually, make an attempt to try in this tournament and give him the props that he thinks he deserves for winning a maiden tournament. So, and honestly, they could do it the same way they did it. They can add free races in. I don't think they should dedicate 100% of the prize pool towards it. I thought, and I said it from the first tournament as well, they should cut the free prize money in half and Zed should come out of pocket and match whatever. So if you're going to take, let's say 20, whatever the prize pool is, $40 in a free race, and not in a free race, a free race is $28, a Griffin's $40. That's how you know I'm messed up in the head. I know the amounts for the Griffin races. That's how messed up I flip-flopped them with the free races. So I think the free races are a $28 prize pool. So if you cut that number in half, You leave it like $14. I don't know how you want to break that up. Maybe $9 for first place. I don't know, $3 for three something for second, and $1 something for third. I don't know. Just so people who don't have a lot of money or don't like to replenish their balance can still run free races and still have an attempt to replenish their account. But at the same time, you're also dedicating half of that money towards prize pool. So I think if you did the same breakdown, if you did 300,000, you cut the free race money in half, you make it $14 prize pool. $150,000 from the free races goes to, the prize, and then Zed matches it with 150,000 from screwing us in the breeding barn the last couple of weeks with the price of Ethereum going up and the minimums being so high. So I think they can help us out with matching that. And also, they should have donated some money. If Zook's still in here, he's probably still not listening. He only smack talks for like 2 minutes and then he leaves. So they should have donated money to that stream so they can jump their pockets up a little bit here and put some money in a tournament as well instead of taking away the prize pools, which again, the free races are essentially out of Zed's pocket. I'm just smack talking them because I feel like they should have at least done something for that stream. So I had to give my guys a shout out at Pony Plug during that. So they did a tremendous job. I think they raised. Do you know how much they raised?
Pony Plug for Extra Life.
Yeah.
I know Hunter donated like 10,000 or something like that.
Yeah, I think the final number was over like 14,000.
Wow.
I believe. I think it was around that number, which was awesome. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, Hunter's a good guy. But people like to call him Hunty, so that's his new nickname. I started calling him, or not Hunty. I'm sorry, Archie. Archie is his favorite. That's what he goes by now.
Go Astros.
So, go Astros. Yeah, bang the can.
Bang bang bang.
He's not gonna be happy. He's not going to be happy that I told people to call him Archie now. So he hates being called Rich Boy and Archie. So back on topic. Sorry, I like to dabble off.
You're good. Bit. How do you feel about skins and the NASCAR Zed Pass and them airdropping skins? Do you like that?
Yeah, I think it's something to spice up the game a little bit. I think some people were talking about the skins were going to be worth like 1 Ethereum eventually. I thought that was absolutely crazy. Like right after they were airdropped, I don't think they're going to be anywhere near that price. I mean, the Genesis market's in the gutter right now. Why would you pay? I guess skins are exclusive, but unless you're buying like a rare one or like one of those super rare ones, those are probably going to be worth a ton. But the basic common ones are probably going to be somewhere near the price of a Genesis, if I had to assume, like a Butte Genesis. But I think the timing of it was okay. I don't think it was a bad announcement. I think how are they going to go about airdropping the skins is a whole nother topic of conversation, and making sure that goes smoothly. But I am excited for them. I hope one day in the future that we're somehow able to get like our own logos on these horses through sponsorship or something, whether we pay Zed. I think that would be cool. But like, I would love to just get like an East Coast label on like some of my horses. I think that would be awesome. And I think a lot of people out there would like their logo on their horse one way or another. But overall, the skins itself, I'm probably going to buy one before the snapshot gets taken. I know I shouldn't say that because I don't want everybody to run to the market and start buying them up. But just the chance to get a rare skin, and then I'll probably just leave it on one of my horses. I'll probably bite the bullet. But right now, I think they're still like 0.25, 0.3 range. I expect them to run up just a little bit before the snapshot in a couple days. I just think that they're gonna run into some sort of issue passing out these skins. I could already foresee it. I did read in the announcement that you have to like update your horse or something like that. Did you read that in the announcement? I don't know if that's kind of been swept under the rug, but I don't know exactly what that meant. As in update your NFT horse? Are you getting a new horse? Like what goes on with that?
It said it's like an upgrade to the smart contract to where you can put on and take off skins. So I'm not too sure.
Now is that gonna mess with the algorithm of the horse? Like I think a lot of people overlook that part, and they may not have an issue with skins, but whatever that upgrade is, that may be some sort of an issue. I just hope it doesn't screw anything up, behind the scenes in itself. But I did read that and kind of made one of those faces, like, huh, like I'm not really sure what that means. but at the same time, I'm not too worried.
Mm.
Probably have it under control. We'll see what happens in a few days, in a few months. I mean,
Yeah, it'd be weird. I mean, I remember people saying that you're like the algo isn't based in your horse. It's like how Zed reads your horse, because I remember like they went back and they changed something with a horse. Like some horse had the same color as Billions or something, or like Escobar and like Roid Rager and all that shit. Like they
well,
didn't.
you've seen, yeah.
Yeah, they
I
didn't
was gonna
go in
say,
and
yeah, just
change. It was just like how the race algorithm read those horses or something like that.
it. I'm not too sure about the Billions. I never heard of that one, but I know that was a scenario with Roy Rager and what's the other horse's name? Escobar. I don't know why I was about to say Medusa. I meant to say Escobar, but Roy Rager and Escobar, they went in and I mean they were able to adjust those horses in the algorithm for that. So Zed can change a few things. What can they change to an extent? I'm not really sure. I don't know if they've told us all, but I mean, if things get messed up, I just hope they have some sort of backup file. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, here's if things are hitting the fan and horses lost their original algorithm or whatever it may be, hey, let's restore it somehow. I'm not really sure how they're going to be able to do that, but that was the one thing that I read in that update that I was a little bit concerned about, which was the update to the horse so it was able to get a skin on it. I don't know how I feel about that completely.
Yeah,
That made me a little bit hesitant to buy a NASCAR pass right then that night when they announced the update, because I was ready to buy one. So I kind of held off, and I still think I am going to buy one. I'll probably just put it on a horse that's not so much a racer, maybe just like a breeder, just to have. Maybe throw it on the track every once in a while just to show off the skin or whatever it may be. But I hope I end up pulling a rare skin. Even if I don't buy a NASCAR pass, I still probably plan on buying a skin, so I'm going to have to update one of my horses regardless. And if they do update the algorithm, I'll put it on a donkey horse, and hopefully it just flip-flops, and all of a sudden it's a Roid Rager or an Escobar.
yeah. What do you think the future utility of the Zed Pass is, but beyond skins?
I don't know. I think did they say that there was utility beyond it? Have they announced that there was utility beyond it? They have said.
They said skins are the start.
I don't know. I mean, maybe there's another future airdrop for like a season 2 round of skins with like new NASCAR drivers, like updated skin designs. Like I could see that happening. I'm not exactly sure what their plan is, but if I had to guess, I'm sure they do have like a season 2 of skins planned, with just NASCAR based. I am excited for everybody to finally get like their Atari, skins. I know a lot of guys like Remy out there. There's a few. Hunter has an Atari skin, if I'm not mistaken. He doesn't have an Atari skin. He has one of the other ones. So those limited edition ones, those will be exciting to see on the track. Remy was trying to sell his Centipede one the other day on Twitter, and that thing is awesome to look at. Like just a preview of it's so sweet. So, and I'm excited what to see what they do for like super coats as well. Like I know that was always in the talk. I mean, eventually they're gonna have to get something. I feel like they're gonna have to get some sort of skin upgrade or something that shows on the track that they're a super coat. So I'm excited for them as well, because super coats are right down there in the gutter with the market right now. You could pick them up right off the floor. So that's kind of been exciting. If anybody's listening, not financial advice, but if you plan to hold on to Zed in the long run, I know that they do have a plan for super coats also.
Yeah, I think like honestly, a lot of the stuff with why the market has dipped is just a lack of communication. If we look at the Genesis, like if people are being told like Genesis holders, you will get Des token for just being a holder, right? But in that span of time, when you see everything else going to the moon, it's hard to sit on a project that's going down, 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 and they haven't implemented what they said it's gonna be. So the super codes really no value to them right now, because no comms about what they're gonna be, and there's no like special utility with them yet. So same thing with the Genesis market, you're not getting your Des token airdrop to you. So I think if they just fix their comms and maybe like brought the utility to these things quicker, then it'd probably bring up the market a little bit.
Sure. And again, I mean, right now the market can be, I wouldn't say fixed, but you can make steps to help the market in itself. And again, just going back to the next tournament, I feel like that's something that Zed can do just to help stimulate the market in terms of the unraced market, because the unraced market's super low right now. Fortunately, if a couple of these horses are donkeys, they may not be posted right for sale right then because they're only running free races still, so the owners, the stable owners, aren't losing money. But it at least gives Zed some time to maybe introduce some sort of burn token before end of year. I mean, if they came out at the tournament time and said, hey, we're doing the tournament also before end of year, we do have an idea for the burn mechanism, whatever it may be, whether it's burning for a future tournament. I mean, maybe you have to submit some sort of PDF file and then send your horse to a certain address in order to qualify. I mean, there could be so many different things that can just buy them some time until they get to Des or until they get to the next big thing that is, you know, the next exciting thing for the community. You know what I'm saying? Like, these tournaments are exciting, but after so many, are they going to be drawn out? Maybe not. But you can only do so much with them over and over. Sooner or later, you're going to see like a pacer only tournament where people are going to be racing like Z40 pacers around, Z20 pacers around. You know, you're going to see those all over the tracks. But then after the tournament's over, we have the issue is they're going to be posted for sale on the market again, like for nothing. So then you're back to square one.
Yeah, it's it'll be interesting to see how they play this stuff out. Do you do you want to see like a coalition? I'll kind of give an example of like what I mean. So Riot Racers, if you own land or like if you own any asset within Riot Racers or if you own the Des token, you get a vote. So like say whoever owns the most Riot tokens, they get like more votes. So whoever has the most skin in the game, you get a vote. But then Riot Racers will come out and they'll be like, how much should we charge for someone to change the color on their car, right? And they give it to the community, people that bought those coins, and they get a vote on it. So it's not Des like being the governance, it's actually the community being the governance. Would you like to see that with Des?
Yeah, at that point though, it's gonna be these larger. What's gonna happen is it's gonna be these larger stables, and these stables with the bigger pockets who are gonna be not only rewarded with more tokens, but are gonna buy more tokens. So they're gonna be in control. They're gonna be able to sway these decisions in their stable's favor. I feel like now, are all the stables the same? No, a lot of people are gonna have different ideas. So I don't think it's a bad idea, but you're going to see a lot of these stables that own a ton of Genesis and a ton of Zaba horses, they're going to be rewarded with a ton of these Des tokens. So if you're rewarding based off the share of Des and they control that, not that percent, but whatever percent based off of their share, it's going to be a little swayed more so towards these high-end stables that own, I feel like, a lot of these Genesis horses. So these horses that don't have a lot of Genesis, like I just bought 3 Genesis horses, 3 out of 16, but there are some stables out there that only have 8 horses and 6 of them are Genesis. So even though I've been around in the game longer, should they have more say than somebody who hasn't been in the game because they have more Des token unless I go out and buy more? You know what I'm saying? Like, unless I go out and I spend on Uniswap to buy Des token and to control more of a governance, control more of a voting power. If I don't go out and buy more of that token or more of that power, some of these stables are going to have more of that power, but they're going to be the higher end stables, like the Z1s, the Z2s, the ones who kind of are loading up. Like Lucky Jack is going to pretty much, every vote's going to go in his favor. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's gonna control a big chunk of the vote based off how many Genesis horses he has, versus a smaller stable who only has 3 Genesis horses or 5 horses. They're only allocated that much of that token.
I'll do devil's advocate on that. Wouldn't you want the people that have the most skin in the game to have the most say?
Now, I'm going to be devil's advocate again. It's not necessarily the people with the most skin in the game. It's the people with the most skin with Genesis horses. So somebody who has 100 horses and 80 of them are legendaries or 80 of them are non-Genesis horses, let's just say, is going to have less of a say than somebody who has 50 horses and 45 of them are Genesis horses. So it's not necessarily more skin in the game because the person has less skin in the game. They just have more Genesis horses. So they're rewarded with more of a token. They're rewarded with more of a voting power.
But they took that
Does
risk
that make
on
sense?
the yes, it does. But they took the risk on the Genesis, right? And then they took the risk on playing the whole game long term to where they could see that Des token and the governance come to
No,
fruition.
that's true. I think if Zed came out and gave some time and said, "Hey, here's the plan with Des. You know, we're gonna roll out this token. You own a Genesis horse, you're gonna be granted one. Depending on what kind of horse you have or whatever, however many you own, you're gonna be granted this amount of voting power." Maybe that gives these higher end stables who don't have a ton of Genesis horses. It'll give them time to kind of maybe flip their plan. That's the route they want to go. I see that being maybe not a bad idea. But if it's just they release these tokens and then all of a sudden it's down the road, okay, based off how many tokens you have a voting power after the tokens have been distributed. I think that's a little bit more of a lopsided. I wouldn't be too much of a fan with that. If you came out and said, "Hey, we're bringing out the token Q1, Q2 of 2022, but here's what's happening with it," then you have people who, number one, then the market will start to maybe kind of pick up on Genesis horses. People start to accumulate them knowing that, hey, they already have this date set in mind. I just have to hold my horse from here to this date. Maybe it's not a year for the Des token. Maybe it's not 3 years like we anticipated. It's only 6 months. I'm okay with holding it for 6 months. So, I mean, maybe that's not a horrible idea. It would just be how they play it.
Yeah.
And again, unfortunately, I feel like we've been let down too many times for it to go correctly. So
I think if they play it to where they're going to give the Genesis holders Des, or you could just go straight buy it from Uniswap, that's going to raise the market on Genesis to where people that are priced out of that will just go straight buy the Des token itself, and then that's going to bring up the Genesis market. It'll be interesting to see, but I think that they should give more governance to the community.
And again, I think the community has some great ideas, and I think they've had a lot of say. And I think Zed has listened. Come here, you wanna come up? All right, you're running away from me. The community has had a lot of say, and Zed has listened to certain things, but we're still not fully there because the community has rolled out some great ideas. We'll see if they listen. I think the next step and the next kind of test, I guess you can say, is for the class structure and seeing how they respond to that, because there have been some great ideas that have been thrown around. Do they listen? Who knows? Do they go a completely different route and it's better than any idea that's been out there? We'll find out. So
I just got a couple more questions for you. What are your thoughts on the Netflix partnership and that sponsored race? Now, do you want to see them pick the horses, or do you want to have like a high prize pool and allow anybody to buy into that, but just have it a high buy-in, or would you have them choose those horses?
Well, here's the thing: is I spoke to my rep over at Netflix, and we're gonna be renaming the race after East Coast Stables. So no, I'm only kidding. Here's the thing: is when you're bringing in a big name like Netflix, I think you want to see the biggest horses in the game in that race. Is it fair? Yeah, because they're the biggest horses in the game, and some people have spent a lot of money on those horses for that particular reason, to be in the spotlight for that race. So I think, is it one race? Did they confirm is it one race? They haven't said anything about it yet, right?
I have no clue. I remember Zook tweeted out that Dank was in it. I want to ask him if he's still in the chat how that came to be. But continue what you're saying.
Yeah, no. So I think the coolest thing is if they did it for like a tournament based style, like if they just sponsored a tournament, and did it that way. I know they're only doing maybe 1 or 2 races or whatever it is, best of whatever series, but they did it like a tournament style and just had people qualify. But if they're doing it based off of only 1 race or best of 3 or best of 5, whatever, you definitely want to see the big name horses in that race. I don't know how they're going to do it. We're not going to see any of my horses in that race. I'd love to see Bon Voyage or some of those horses in there, but definitely don't have the firepower to get in there. Yeah, I did see that Zook was trying to get Dank in there. I don't know if Dank deserves to be in that race. I don't know if Dank's proven himself over time, or she's proven herself over time.
Just a
I believe
digital
she's a
derby
female.
champ.
So.
Don't deserve it.
Yeah, doesn't deserve it. So.
That's funny, man. Yeah, I think
Yeah, no.
it's gonna be interesting to see because a lot of people they're gonna be pissed because if you feel like you have a better horse than the horse that's in that race, people are gonna be hot. So it'll be interesting to see what
Yeah,
horses they pick.
I don't know how exactly. I don't know how exactly gonna do it. That's why I think they should do a qualifier. I think they should maybe take like the top 50 horses or the top 100 horses and let them duke it out, and then you get a best of 5 or a best of 7 or whatever it is. Um, I don't know, just spitballing ideas, but I think overall the sponsorship, just having a name like Netflix attached, I think that's awesome.
It's big time.
I think eventually that they need to sponsor some other, bigger tournaments, like I was saying, because I don't believe this is going to be a tournament, truthfully. But I do think they should sponsor some bigger tournaments, maybe get it advertised somewhere on Netflix, maybe on their Twitter, maybe on their actual homepage, maybe have a couple horses racing like on their background. Because I watch Netflix all the time. I do the whole Peacock Netflix thing. I don't have cable in my apartment. I have memberships to everything, but when you load up Netflix, I know they usually have like the first main like featured movie or whatever it is on the page. I don't know, maybe get some horse racing things in the background. Maybe they could put like Secretariat up there because Zed's not gonna have a movie, obviously. But put like Secretariat up there, but then have some like digital horses in the back. Like I don't know. Again, just spitballing ideas. I think Zed can do a lot of things. Maybe Netflix isn't the best route, but Netflix is definitely a big name for sure.
It's a good start, right?
Yeah, it's definitely. Well, you got to start somewhere. I mean, I'd rather them do what they're doing than to be sitting on their hands doing nothing. So.
Yeah. And Zook said Zed can't be the one choosing the horses. It either has to be free for all or a sponsor's choice. I agree. I mean, but if they say it's a sponsor's choice, how do we know, right? Like the sponsor chose these horses, like, well, prove it, right? So
Sure.
it's gonna be weird to see how it plays out, but I would like to see like either set it as a high buy-in, give anybody a chance. If you want to pay 10 grand for this buy-in, go for it. If you have a donkey horse, whatever, but you have a chance if you want to enter this race. I think they should go about it that way.
Yeah. So it's like what's funny is I was just thinking about it. Is the best opportunity right now. The best opportunity is buying unnamed horses and naming them everything to do with Netflix and just hoping that horse is really, really good. Because if Netflix does in fact pick the horse, dude, if there's no horse named Netflix and Chill out there, like if I buy a Z2 Legendary and name it Netflix and Chill and this horse is like a 20% winner and it's just mopping up the competition for 2 weeks, Netflix is gonna look over and be like, "We want Netflix and Chill in the race." Are you kidding me? They would love that. They would love that. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna start buying unraced horses now and just start naming them Netflix based names. So
Hell yeah.
I got that planned out.
So let's say I give you half an ETH, and in the current market, you have no stable. You have half an ETH to come into Zed Run with. What are you buying?
Half an ETH.
Half an ETH.
Half an ETH. Right now, with half an ETH, I'm probably buying a low Z Legendary, and I'm gonna be buying a Genesis horse. Probably raced, not unraced, because that would be out of the budget at that point. So I'm talking like I'd probably buy like a Z2 or Z3 Legendary priced right, like 0.3 to 0.4 range, which is what their going rate is right now. And then the Genesis, like Z9, Z10s raced, are going for, I mean, 0.1. I've seen 0.09 overnight. Some people getting desperate accepting like leaf offers. But right now, like, here's the thing is a lot of the focus, because breeding's so expensive, a lot of the focus is on these horses that are good racers. And the ones that aren't good racers are being posted for very cheap and for losses. You can look at these Genesis horses right now. Some of them have produced 11, 12, 13% average winners in 7, 8, 9 offspring. That's super strong. Like, that's very, very strong. Like, any horse that's over really a 10% winner is pretty good. So if you're if you're getting that consistently or on average from some of your Genesis horses, I think that's awesome. And I do think eventually Zed will fix the minimums. So you're talking now, you're loading up on these good breeding Genesis horses that you can then post for super, super cheap, which is really why I've actually kind of sold a few of my Genesis horses for the low. Because I realized that I was buying all stallions. I have like no fillies in my stable. I know I have like 3 or 4 out of the 16, 17 horses are only are female. So I've had to relook back on the market and kind of, readjust my plan and go back to square one for picking up some of these horses. So just waiting for the right time to jump on a few. But for that question, probably like a Z2, Z3 legendary. If you could find a filly, great. If not, not the end of the world. And then I'd probably go with good breeding Genesis.
Okay. So when you had all of these stallions, was your mind thought going and buying these horses like I can produce passive income by putting these into stud? Is that why you didn't go for as much fillies or mares?
Yes. And at the time, well, fillies are also priced a little bit more, so I was looking to be as close to the floor as possible, in just terms of what I was willing to spend. And the reason for that was because I was going to race them. I've raced out of the 6 Genesis that I picked up. Come here. Been jumping around the whole time. Out of the 6 Genesis horses I picked up, all of them were unraced. Or I'm sorry, 7 Genesis horses I picked up, 6 were unraced. One had the Griffin ran, which it won. 6 of them were unraced. I've raced 5 of them. So the plan wasn't to keep them unraced and keep them in the stud barn. I actually was hoping that some of them would turn out to be good racers and I would hit on, 1 or 2 at least. I've struck out on 5. I've lost a couple $1,000s in value just in terms of if I wanted to sell them right now at a loss. Because, unraced Genesis horses are going for 0.25. I paid 0.3, a week ago. That's what they were going for. And the race market's 0.1. So now you lose 0.2. What's 0.2 times Ethereum's almost $5,000 right now?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, after fees and everything, $4,500, you're losing $900 on every horse. So, and I've sold 2 of them just because, again, I want to reinvest that money back into fillies. I want to reinvest them back into female racers. But I also have readjusted a little bit of my plan. I'm going for very specific Genesis horses now. I won't give out the tidbit. But I'm also looking at low Z legendaries. Like I said, I'm in the process right now of buying a Z3 Colt. Probably once this stream is over, I'm going to make the purchase. And they're super cheap right now. They were selling for over 1 Ethereum at the time. 1.5 some of these fillies were. So will the market get back there? Maybe, maybe not. May not make it completely up there. I think the price of Ethereum has kind of killed that as well. But can they get back to almost 1 Ethereum? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think the Z2, yeah, the low Z numbers, especially Nakamoto. When I got in, they were like 1.1 unraised, unnamed, and Phillies was like 1.6. So definitely on a buyer's market right now.
Yeah. So and like just looking in chat. So Sniper said Z6 Finny Gen for half ETH. Yeah, I saw a Z7 Stallion sell for 0.27 last night. That was producing 11% winners. I mean, that's an easy buy, even at the price of Ethereum right now. Are Genesis really below 0.10? I've never seen below 0.12. I saw 1 or 2 offers accepted overnight for 0.09. Again, they weren't great Genesis horses, but 0.09 for Genesis right now is $400. I think they dropped new for 200, 250, 300 at the time. So it's still profit for whoever held for that long. I don't know why you'd hold for this long and sell now. Probably doesn't make the most sense, but it's still over what they were at time of drop. So you can't say the market on Genesis is completely in the gutter. It's down there, but the price of Ethereum has definitely slowed the roll as well.
There's still a market for it though, right? I mean, if they're up at that price and they're not selling, then there's reason to be worried. But somebody's buying these horses, so somebody believes in the long term of this game and these Genesis horses.
Sure. If you see undercutting start happening, under 0.1 and they're not selling, that's rough. Unless Ethereum makes it all the way to 7,000-8,000, which I hope it does. Trust me, my Ethereum bag is heavy right now. So I think overall you're going to have buyers at certain price points and you're going to have sellers at certain price points. Eventually, there's going to be enough buyers at this cheap enough level that believe in the game long term, where they're not going to be Genesis listed for this low anymore. You're going to see them listed for higher. And I think that's going to start to change if they introduce a breeding minimum, cut. Like if they don't say that there's a breeding minimum anymore, if they just allow open breeding, I think you'll see the market will start to pick up a little bit based off of that. Because then at that point, if you're picking up a Genesis for $400 and you're able to breed it in house for 20, $30, with another Genesis horse, let's just say, and it's producing 11, 12% winners, then it makes the game fun again. Because now, number one, you're breeding, so you're spending money. But number two is you're racing winners that you've seemed to found, and you're able to test theories at a cheaper price point. You can't test theories at $200 every time. I mean, $600 every cycle for a Genesis Buterin. It's impossible. It's like 180 for the minimum right now, which I think is crazy.
Yeah. All right, I got one last question for you. If you had to guess, what would you value your stable at in Ethereum at this current moment?
In Ethereum,
Mm-hmm.
people aren't gonna like my answer.
Who
People aren't gonna
cares?
like my answer.
Who cares? Fuck them.
Honestly, my stable's probably worth like 4 to 5 ETH. To be honest with you, it may be worth a little bit more. I say my stable, if I really wanted to sell, if somebody was to come in and say I'm buying your stable, 7, 8 ETH would probably be the number. And I'm not like quitting Zed Run at that price. I'd probably reinvest it back into some heavy hitters and just downsize my stable a bit. I'd probably pick up, honestly, if I sold my full stable of 16, 17 horses for like 7 ETH, I'd probably pick up a really, really solid racer, like a strong, strong racer that's on the market for like 4 or 5 ETH, and I'd probably pick up a bunch of Genesis horses, maybe a couple unraced legendaries in there, but probably a bunch of Genesis horses just for breeding purpose. Because I truly believe that Zed is going to fix the breeding minimums. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind. I think people have kind of realized that these minimums, the ones who are pushing for it, have kind of realized, hey, this wasn't the way going about it, and maybe free market is the best way to do it. So that would be what I do. But a genuine number, I would say anywhere from 4 to 5 Ethereum. I think Bon Voyage is a 2 Ethereum horse, no doubt in my mind. If I posted her for 2 Ethereum, I think she'd sell within a week. Personally, she's 0.5 profit lifetime, and that's with me just throwing her into expensive races as well and not really cherry picking. If I cherry picked her races, I mean, I've seen her profit in the last week almost 0.1 go up. So if I sit there and cherry pick, she can easily be a 1 Ethereum, profit winner very, very quickly, for sure.
Okay. And then Sniper said, what win percentage is a good racer?
So a good racer, that's a tough question because it depends on the class. A good racer is over 10%, 9-10%. A great racer, over 15%. But again, it depends. Like some of these horses, you have to dig deep into them because some of them have been running free races from the tournament. And as soon as they started getting put in paid races, you can see that A shape starting to form where they're not as strong as they were, in free races as they're on paid, or in paid races as they're on free, I should say. I flip-flop the two. So that's something else. Like if you're looking on the market right now, make sure you sort by paid race and free races. Be careful because there are a lot of horses that right after the tournament were posted right on the market and they look very good, 14, 15, 16% winners. But they ran 40 free races with no profit lifetime, and you'll see 7 of those races are paid, and they've come in 5 times, and they've come in 7 the other 4 times. You know what I'm saying? So they're really not as strong as they seem.
Yeah, and especially, like you said, because they could look good in the free races, but once you go put them in that money race, it's not hot.
Sure. Everybody was racing free races during the tournament. I mean, even really if your horses weren't qualifying, some people were still throwing their horses in free races, The competition it was good in some of the races, but it wasn't great. It was a lot stronger in the free races during the tournament, then it is your typical free races, obviously, when the tournament's not going on.
Right. And so, where can people catch your contact or content at, and where can they contact you at, Joe?
So best way to contact me, I'm usually the most active on Twitter. You can find me on the Discord. You can find me in the Zed Run general chat. I usually like to pop in and say what's up, ladies, when nobody's talking. So, but the best spot is on Twitter. You can find me at ECSZ, all one word. I usually stream Tuesdays. I know today is Tuesday, so I was able to hop on stream today. But we have some exciting stuff to look forward to this upcoming week. So I know we talked about it beforehand. I wasn't going to tell everybody during the stream, but just keep an eye out. I won't be streaming next Tuesday, unfortunately. I will be planning something with some other content creators as well that are out there for next week. So just keep your eye out, especially if you like trash talking and if you like pink slip races and big money races. I would definitely keep an eye out on my Twitter.
Awesome, man. Thank you for the great conversation. I think there's a lot that people could learn from this, and I'll be rooting for you, and if you ever go back on Stable Duels.
Hey, listen, I appreciate it. Stable Duels knows when they decide to not have Class 1 Stable Duels, I'm ready for a Class 2 and Class 3 competition. So I'll be there when the calling hits. But I appreciate you having me on. Anybody who's listening, anybody who's tuned in, thank you guys. You produce some great content, man, and I'll definitely be listening to everybody else for the rest of the week, especially my guy, Retro Racing. He's going to be on this week. He's on Thursday, right?
I think Friday.
Friday.
Thursday. I think Friday.
Friday.
Yes, sir.
Friday. So, but definitely keep an eye out for the rest of the lineup this week. So, again, thanks for having me on, and thanks everybody for listening.
Sweet. Thank you, Joe. We're back tomorrow with Bot Lady. Then we got Darkside Supercoats on Thursday, and then Retro Racing on Friday. Thank you so much, Joe.
Bot Lady coming in.
Have a good day, bro.